Or can you talk about
I can talk about it, but I'm not aware of what really happened to me.
Yeah.
All I know is that I went to a friend's birthday party. I gave a friend a birthday party. Hello.
You thought was your friend.
Well, we ain't even gonna touch on
You will definitely be upset. You will definitely be upset because you will be outstunning, motherfucker. That was just you, man. Nigga, start working out though. Just start get in the gym, though, nigga. You know something? I ain't gotta work out neither. But you know something? My thumbs is so strong from counting all that paper. But yo, hold on, check it. Let me stop. Look at the stop. You gotta do this. Just do our work. Just do our work. If you ain't have enough style to give me a pair of Reeboks, I asked you for a pair of Reeboks today. You ain't got no left.
Millions of viewers thought they were pressing play on a polished music documentary. But what they didn't know is that behind the scenes, a very different conversation was already circulating. In the last few days, Brat has found herself at the center of growing online chatter, not because she confirmed anything outright, but because of what fans believe she hinted at. According to entertainment blogs and social media speculation, there are claims floating around that parts of the Diddy documentary were never meant to see the light of day. And now, people are asking why. Fans are shocked as whispers suggest that 50 Cent may have played a role in pushing certain scenes out of the final cut before Netflix released the project. No one is saying this is confirmed, but the timing of these rumors has emotions running high. Clips feel shorter, chapters feel rushed, and viewers online keep saying the same thing. Something feels missing. Was it creative editing, legal caution, or something deeper that sparked quiet behind-the-scenes tension? According to circulating reports, names were recorded, footage was filmed, and conversations allegedly took place that never reached the public. Supporters are divided, critics are speculating, and fans can't stop debating what might have been left out. Because if these stories are even partially true, then the real drama didn't happen on screen. It happened in the editing room. Millions of conversations have been bubbling up online ever since the Diddy documentary landed, and none of them are calm. What was supposed to be a smooth look back at an era quickly turned into a source of confusion, speculation, and quiet side-eye from viewers who swear something felt off. Fans didn't need leaked documents or official statements to feel it. They felt it in the pacing, in the sudden jumps, in the moments that seemed trimmed down just a little too clean. And once that feeling took hold, the rumors started moving faster than anyone expected. According to chatter spreading across blogs, comment sections, and reaction videos, there are claims that more was filmed than what the public ever saw. People aren't saying it is fact, but they are saying the same thing over and over again, that documentaries like this don't just accidentally leave gaps, especially not when the subject is someone whose career touched nearly every corner of the music industry. Viewers started replaying scenes, comparing episode lengths, and questioning why certain names were mentioned briefly and then never again. Emotions ran high as fans began to wonder if what they watched was the full story or just the safest version of it. Then Brat's name entered the conversation, not through a direct statement, but through what people describe as careful wording and side comments that felt loaded. She didn't accuse anyone, she didn't confirm anything, but listeners felt like she was speaking around something rather than about it. That alone was enough to spark intense speculation. Fans are shocked because Brat has been around long enough to understand how this industry works, how stories get shaped, and how silence is sometimes louder than words. When someone like her appears to hint instead of explain, people start filling in the blanks themselves. At the same time, discussions started circling around 50 Cent, not as a villain, but as a powerful figure whose name carries weight whether he speaks publicly or not. Online reports claim that his
of loss. You've been at the bottom. How much of this journey with you and Wayne and all of the controversy, you're sitting back going, I know it's going to come back together, because it just takes time?
Well, going to the bottom is not an option. I'm never going back to the bottom.
Yeah.
Ever. The only bottom I'm going to go to is when they ditch me. Love, I grew up without that. That's not a part of my life. I can't hide, divide, or even put nothing on there. I just got to accept what comes with it and deal with it and know how to deal with it. As far as me and Shorty, I got that. I'm going to make sure he's straight, we straight, and we're going to continue doing what we started. It's important to me that I finish the way I started.
But did you always know that it was going to work out?
I mean, it's just so many parts to it, but I'm not going to let it just lay like that.
His influence behind the scenes has always been strong, especially when it comes to how stories are framed and who gets the final say. No one is saying he personally edited anything, but fans are asking whether quiet pressure could have played a role. That idea alone sent social media into overdrive. emotions ran high as supporters defended him, while others questioned why his name keeps surfacing whenever controversial edits are discussed. What really pushed the conversation forward was the idea that entire segments may have been filmed and then removed. Not shortened, not softened, but completely erased. Fans reacted strongly to that possibility, saying it would explain why certain chapters felt incomplete. People pointed out how some storylines were introduced only to vanish without resolution. Friends of artists, longtime followers of the era, and even casual viewers all seemed to agree on one thing: the final cut felt too neat for a story that messy. And when a story feels too neat, people assume the mess was cleaned up on purpose. As reactions poured in, the family angle became impossible to ignore. Fans began saying that individual artists can be dismissed, but families carry a different kind of credibility. When multiple people share the same experiences, the same timelines, and the same memories, it becomes harder to brush it off as exaggeration. According to rumors circulating online, that is exactly why certain voices may have been left out. Not because they were irrelevant, but because together they might have added context that complicated the narrative. Fans are shocked at the thought that an entire perspective could be missing, simply because it raised too many questions. Behind-the-scenes speculation also focused on the role of streaming platforms and their legal teams. Viewers started pointing out that these projects go through intense review before release. Every clip, every line, every image is evaluated for risk. According to entertainment insiders quoted in blogs, when something introduces legal uncertainty or connects too many powerful figures, it often becomes easier to remove it altogether. That idea didn't calm the conversation, it made it louder. Emotions ran high as people realized that what they see is not always what exists, but what is allowed. Online reactions were divided. Some fans argued that this is just how documentaries work, and that not every interview makes the final cut. Others felt that this situation was different, that the silence around what was removed was too noticeable to ignore. Friends of the artists involved allegedly began liking cryptic posts, while fans analyzed old interviews for clues. Every small gesture became part of the story. Even neutral comments were interpreted as hints. The family was left divided in the court of public opinion, with some viewers urging caution and others demanding answers. What made the rumors even more compelling was how carefully everyone involved seemed to speak. No one rushed to deny anything. No official statements were released to shut the conversation down. Instead, there was a noticeable quiet, the kind that makes fans believe something sensitive is being avoided. Emotions ran high as people debated whether silence meant nothing or everything. In entertainment culture, silence often becomes its own headline, and the longer it lasts, the more people read into it. As the speculation continued, fans began connecting dots across decades of music history. They pointed out how often artists from that era have spoken about pressure, contracts, and creative control without naming names. They remembered interviews where people said they could not talk about certain things, even years ago. Those old comments suddenly felt relevant again. Fans are shocked because what once sounded vague now feels intentional. It started to look less like isolated stories and more like patterns repeating themselves. Throughout all of this, the conversation kept circling back to one central idea. If parts of the documentary were removed, it wasn't necessarily because they were false, but because they were complicated. Complicated stories require follow-up questions, context, and accountability, and not everyone benefits from that. Emotions ran high as viewers realized that documentaries don't just tell history, they curate it. They decide which memories survive and which ones quietly disappear. By the time the rumors reached their peak, fans were no longer just talking about the documentary. They were talking about the industry as a whole, about who controls narratives, who gets protected, and who gets edited out. Friends debated in group chats, comment sections filled with theories, and reaction channels kept the discussion alive. Nothing had been proven, but the impact was already there. Once viewers believe something is missing, they can never watch the same footage the same way again. And that feeling, that something important was left on the cutting room floor, is what continues to fuel the conversation long after the credits roll. That feeling of something missing didn't fade with time, it grew stronger. As days passed, fans started revisiting old interviews, award show clips, and behind-the-scenes footage from that era, trying to piece together what might have been left out. Every pause, every vague answer from past conversations suddenly felt loaded. People weren't saying they had proof, but they were saying the patterns felt familiar. Emotions ran high as viewers compared notes and realized how often stories from that time seemed to stop just short of saying anything concrete. Online commentary channels picked up the energy quickly. Reaction videos popped up dissecting every rumored edit, slowing down scenes and questioning why certain moments felt rushed. Fans were shocked at how quickly a polished documentary turned into a source of debate. Instead of celebrating nostalgia, people were arguing about intention. Was the editing done to protect reputations, avoid controversy, or simply keep the project safe? No one had answers, but everyone had opinions. And in entertainment culture, opinions can sometimes be louder than facts. The name Brat continued to float through these conversations, not because she made bold claims, but because of how carefully she spoke when asked about the documentary and the era it covered. Viewers replayed her comments again and again, focusing on what she didn't say as much as what she did. She spoke about being present, about seeing things firsthand, about knowing how stories change once cameras turn on. Fans felt those words carried weight. Emotions ran high because it sounded like someone choosing caution over confrontation. As speculation deepened, the role of influence became a major talking point. Fans discussed how certain figures in the industry don't need to speak publicly to shape outcomes. Influence, they said, often works quietly. A phone call here, a suggestion there, and suddenly a storyline shifts. People weren't accusing anyone directly, but they were questioning how power operates behind closed doors. Fans are shocked because the idea that creative decisions could be shaped by unseen pressure challenges the belief that documentaries are purely objective. Another layer that kept resurfacing was the idea of collective voices versus individual ones. Viewers debated why stories involving multiple people feel more threatening to established narratives. One artist speaking out can be framed as emotional or biased, but when several voices align, it becomes harder to dismiss. According to online chatter, this might explain why certain perspectives never made it to screen. Emotions ran high as fans considered how easily a full picture can be altered simply by removing a few key viewpoints. Friends of artists from that era reportedly began sharing cryptic posts, nothing specific enough to confirm anything, but vague enough to fuel curiosity. Fans analyzed emojis, captions, and timing, reading between lines that might not even exist. The family was left divided in public discussion, with some people urging restraint and others saying these subtle signals were intentional. In a world where everything is documented, even silence can feel strategic. The conversation also shifted towards the mechanics of documentary filmmaking itself. Viewers who claimed to have worked in media explained how many hours of footage typically get left on the cutting room floor. But they also pointed out that usually, platforms address major omissions when audiences notice them. Here, there was no explanation, no behind-the-scenes feature clarifying creative choices. That absence stood out. Emotions ran high as people questioned why such a large project would avoid addressing viewer concerns altogether. As debates intensified, fans began connecting this situation to broader industry stories they had heard for years. Tales of artists losing momentum overnight, projects being delayed without explanation, and opportunities quietly disappearing. None of it was presented as confirmed truth, but the similarities were hard to ignore. Fans are shocked because the same themes keep appearing across different generations and genres. Pressure, silence, and control seem to be recurring words in these discussions. Some supporters pushed back strongly, arguing that speculation can be harmful and that not every rumor deserves attention. They reminded others that documentaries have limits and that legal boundaries often dictate what can be shown. This sparked heated arguments online, with emotions running high on both sides. One group felt viewers were reading too much into creative decisions, while another believed ignoring patterns only allows them to continue. Amid all this, the idea of risk management became central. People talked about how large platforms prioritize safety over completeness. If a segment introduces potential backlash or complicated relationships, it might be deemed not worth the trouble. Fans debated whether that approach protects viewers or misleads them. Emotions ran high as people realized that what they consume as history is often filtered through layers of caution. The discussion wasn't just about the documentary anymore. It became a larger conversation about trust. Trust in platforms, trust in storytelling, and trust in what audiences are shown. Viewers admitted feeling uneasy knowing that stories can be shaped so heavily behind the scenes. Friends discussed it casually, but the unease lingered. Fans are shocked because once trust is questioned, it's hard to rebuild. As days went on, the rumors showed no sign of slowing. Instead, they evolved. New theories emerged, old clips resurfaced, and discussions became more nuanced. People started saying that even if nothing dramatic was removed, the reaction itself reveals how hungry audiences are for transparency. Emotions ran high as viewers demanded more honest storytelling, even if it's uncomfortable. What remained consistent throughout all this was the sense that the final cut did not satisfy everyone. Whether due to editing choices, legal concerns, or simple storytelling decisions, the end result left viewers wanting more. And in entertainment, wanting more often turns into suspicion. The idea that unseen footage exists continues to fuel debates, reaction videos, and comment threads. Nothing has been proven, but the conversation refuses to die. And that persistence alone suggests that whatever was left out has become just as powerful as what made it onto the screen. As the speculation stretched further, the conversation started taking on a more emotional tone. Fans weren't just curious anymore, they felt personally invested. Many of them grew up with the music, the culture, and the personalities tied to that era, so the idea that parts of the story might be missing felt almost personal. Emotions ran high as people said it wasn't just about entertainment, it was about understanding what really shaped the industry they loved.
When viewers feel like something is being withheld, it creates a sense of mistrust that lingers long after the screen goes dark. Social media became the main stage for this ongoing drama. Comment sections turned into debates, debates turned into arguments, and arguments turned into full-blown theories. Fans are shocked at how quickly one rumor can spiral into a much
Larger narrative. People began sharing screenshots of old interviews, pausing clips at specific moments, and quoting lines that once seemed harmless but now felt loaded. Every small detail was treated like a clue, and every reaction from anyone remotely connected was analyzed. Some fans focused heavily on the idea of loyalty and betrayal. They questioned whether people who once stood together were now being edited apart for convenience. Emotions ran high as viewers imagined how it might feel to give an interview, share personal memories, and then see that contribution vanish without explanation. Even without confirmation, the thought alone stirred sympathy. The family was left divided in public opinion, with some believing silence was a form of protection, while others saw it as a sign of unresolved tension. Industry watchers added fuel to the fire by discussing how narratives are often shaped to favor simplicity over complexity. They explained that complicated stories don't always test well with broad audiences. Fans are shocked because this suggests that truth can be sacrificed for clarity. If a story introduces too many players, too many overlapping experiences, it becomes harder to package neatly. Emotions ran high as people realized that real life rarely fits into clean story arcs, yet that's often what audiences are given. Another twist in the conversation came from fans who began questioning timing. They asked why these rumors were surfacing now and not earlier. Some speculated that changing public attitudes towards transparency have made people more willing to question what they're shown. Others believe that enough distance from the era has finally allowed people to speak indirectly. Emotions ran high as viewers debated whether this was a delayed reaction or a sign that more stories might surface later. Supporters of the documentary pushed back, saying speculation can unfairly damage reputations. They reminded others that rumors can grow out of control and hurt real people. This only intensified the debate. Fans are shocked because both sides felt strongly justified. One side demanded accountability and openness, while the other urged restraint and respect for boundaries. The result was a tense back and forth that kept the topic trending longer than anyone expected. Amid this tension, the idea of quiet agreements became a recurring theme. Viewers talked about how often people in the industry mention things they can't discuss. They connected that idea to the rumored edits, suggesting that silence isn't always voluntary, but sometimes contractual. Emotions ran high as fans speculated about how many stories remain untold because of agreements signed long ago. Even without proof, the possibility felt unsettling. The emotional core of the discussion shifted towards empathy. People started saying that regardless of what was removed or why, there are human experiences behind these stories. Careers, families, and personal lives all intersect with business decisions. Fans are shocked because it's easy to forget that behind polished documentaries are real people whose experiences may not align with the final narrative. That realization softened some of the harsher debates, even as curiosity remained. Reaction videos evolved as well. Creators moved from shock to reflection, asking viewers to consider why they crave the missing pieces so much. Emotions ran high as they pointed out that audiences often sense when something feels incomplete. Even without evidence, that instinct drives conversation. The absence itself becomes part of the story, creating its own form of drama. As more voices joined the discussion, the tone became more cautious. People began prefacing their comments with reminders that these are just reports and speculation. Fans are shocked at how necessary those reminders became. It showed how quickly entertainment chatter can blur into assumed truth. Yet even with disclaimers, the curiosity didn't fade. The questions remained, hovering over every rewatch and every discussion thread. What made this moment stand out was how unified the reaction felt. Viewers from different backgrounds, ages, and fandoms all seemed to sense the same thing. Emotions ran high because shared suspicion creates community. People bonded over theories, debates, and late-night discussions. Whether they believed the rumors or not, they were part of the conversation. As the days passed, the story stopped being about any single person. It became about storytelling itself, about who gets to decide what history looks like when it's retold on a massive platform. Fans are shocked because they realized how much trust they place in these narratives. Once that trust wavers, every future project is viewed with a more critical eye. By the time the discussion reached this point, one thing was clear. The rumored missing footage had already done its job, even if it never appears. It sparked debate, reflection, and a deeper look at how stories are constructed. Emotions ran high not because of what was confirmed, but because of what remained unanswered. And those unanswered questions continued to echo, pushing the conversation forward and ensuring that the topic would not fade quietly anytime soon. By this point, the discussion had moved far beyond the original documentary itself.
What started as casual curiosity turned into a deeper conversation about how stories are shaped, softened, or redirected before they ever reach the public. Fans weren't just asking what might have been removed anymore, they were asking why the system works the way it does. Emotions ran high as people began realizing that this situation wasn't unique, it felt familiar. Similar questions had followed other projects, other eras, and other icons, but this time the reaction felt louder and more unified. Many viewers began to say that the most telling detail wasn't any rumored clip or alleged meeting, but the overall tone of how everyone involved responded. There was no loud denial, no firm clarification, just a careful distance. Fans are shocked because in an age where statements are released within hours, this level of restraint felt intentional. People interpreted it in different ways. Some saw professionalism, others saw avoidance. Either way, the lack of direct engagement only added weight to the speculation. The idea of narrative control became central to almost every conversation. Fans discussed how documentaries often claim to present the full picture, yet rely on choices that narrow the lens. Emotions ran high as viewers admitted they had always trusted these projects more than they probably should have. Seeing how quickly doubts formed made them reconsider how much faith they place in curated storytelling. Even those who defended the documentary admitted that no single project can truly capture a complex era without leaving something out. Another shift happened when fans started talking about memory and perception. People shared personal stories of how music from that time shaped their lives. They talked about concerts, late-night radio, and moments that felt defining. Fans are shocked because those memories feel real and complete, while the documentary now feels selective by comparison. That contrast made the rumored edits feel more significant, even if they were never confirmed. As the conversation matured, it also became more reflective. Some viewers acknowledged that chasing every rumor can be exhausting. They questioned whether the need to uncover every hidden detail sometimes overshadows the art itself. Emotions ran high as people balanced curiosity with fatigue. Still, even those who wanted the discussion to calm down admitted that the questions raised weren't going away easily. Content creators began framing the situation as a lesson rather than a scandal. They encouraged audiences to watch documentaries with a more critical eye, understanding that what's shown is often a version of events, not
The whole truth. Fans are shocked because this shift changed how they viewed not just this project, but future ones too. The rumored missing footage became a symbol, representing all the stories that never make it past legal review or editorial decisions. Others focused on accountability, asking who ultimately decides what audiences are allowed to see. Emotions ran high as people debated whether platforms owe viewers transparency about major omissions. Some argued that explaining every cut would be impossible, while others felt that silence invites mistrust. The disagreement itself kept the topic alive, proving that even unanswered questions can have lasting impact. There was also a growing sense of caution. Many fans reminded each other that speculation can quickly turn into assumption. They stressed the importance of remembering that these are reports and discussions, not confirmed events. Fans are shocked at how easily lines can blur when emotions run high. This self-awareness didn't end the debate, but it added a layer of responsibility to it. What stood out most was how the absence of clarity became its own narrative. People weren't reacting to a single shocking reveal, but to the space where one might exist. Emotions ran high because uncertainty invites imagination. Once audiences believe something significant is missing, they fill that gap with theories, context, and past experiences. The missing pieces become larger than any confirmed detail ever could. As weeks passed, the intensity of the conversation began to settle into something steadier. It wasn't outrage anymore, it was skepticism. Fans talked about how this moment would likely influence how future documentaries are received. Fans are shocked because they realize trust, once questioned, changes viewing habits permanently. Viewers now look for what's absent as much as what's present. In the end, the situation didn't deliver a dramatic reveal or a clear resolution. Instead, it left behind a lingering question about storytelling, power, and perception. Emotions ran high, not because answers were given, but because they weren't. The rumored edits became a mirror, reflecting how audiences feel about transparency in entertainment. And maybe that's why this story continues to circulate. Not because of what was proven, but because of what was suggested. Because in entertainment culture, suggestion can be just as powerful as confirmation. The documentary may have ended, but the conversation around it hasn't. It continues in comments and reaction videos, and in quiet doubts that surface whenever a story feels too smooth. For many viewers, this moment served as a reminder. History, as presented on screen, is rarely complete. It's shaped by decisions, priorities, and limits that audiences don't always see.
Fans are shocked because realizing that doesn't ruin the experience, it complicates it. And sometimes those complications are where the most important conversations begin. If you've made it this far, then you already know why this conversation hasn't gone away. This isn't about proving anything or pointing fingers. It's about the questions people are asking and the stories that fans believe are still unfinished. Emotions ran high throughout this discussion because so many viewers feel like something important may have been left out. And whether that's true or not, the reaction itself says a lot about how people consume entertainment today. Fans are shocked because moments like this change how you watch documentaries moving forward. You start paying attention not just to what's shown, but to what feels missing. You start noticing the pauses, the edits, and the sudden jumps in storytelling. And once that awareness sets in, it's hard to turn it off. This story may never get an official explanation, but the discussion around it has already taken on a life of its own. Now we want to hear from you. Do you think these reports are just the internet reading too deeply into creative decisions, or do you believe there's more behind the scenes than we're being shown? Do you feel like platforms should be more transparent when major parts of a story don't make the final cut, or is that just part of how entertainment works? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let your voice be part of the conversation. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more dramatic deep dives into trending entertainment stories, make sure you like this video because it helps the channel reach more viewers. Hit subscribe so you don't miss future updates, and turn on notifications to stay locked in when new stories drop. Share this video with friends who love debating industry drama because